Greetings, warriors in health, my YouTube family and friends. Tonight we're going to talk about how I overcame my medical diagnosis of metabolic syndrome. In order to do that, I should tell you what metabolic syndrome is, and then I'll tell you what I did to overcome it, except I haven't medically been declared over it because I haven't seen a doctor yet since I got the test results back. And it is a medical diagnosis, but I'm sure once Dr. Mabry looks at the numbers, he will agree that I no longer have metabolic syndrome. Okay, so what metabolic syndrome is kind of an umbrella for 5 other conditions, which by themselves a lot of people have, but if you have more than 3 of the 5, it becomes exponentially worse for your health. That was the situation I was in. I had at least 3 of the 5. So let me tell you what those 5 conditions are, and then we'll tell you how they combine to increase your risk of stroke, heart attack, type 2 diabetes, obesity, cancer, and other diseases of modern civilization. Thank you for joining me tonight. Before I get into all that, let me say thank you. I appreciate all the new subscriptions. I appreciate the higher watch time. Each new video I'm putting out is coming out higher and higher on the ranking, so that's amazing. I'm getting more views in the first 24 hours, more views in the first 7 days, and that is awesome. So be sure to destroy that little button over there if you can find it on your screen. If not, maybe go to a laptop or a desktop, or just go down below and hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate that because that means it's worth it to somebody. But here are the 5 conditions that allow a doctor to diagnose you as being, or not being, but having the metabolic syndrome. High blood pressure, high blood sugar, adipose fat, which means you have a big belly, that you're more of an apple shape than a pear shape. Apple shape is a big midsection. In men, I know if it's over 40 inches, then that's one condition of the 3 to qualify for metabolic syndrome. I definitely had that when I started, and that's the one I still am working on. And it's not the waist size on your pants, that's your hips. Most men wear their pants on their hips, not their waist, which is technically medically considered at your belly button. And if you look at most men these days, especially in their 50s, their waist is 3 or 4 inches larger than their hip circumference. So yes, the latest jeans I have are either 38 or 40, so that would be under the definition. But I know my waist still has another inch or so to go to meet that. And then number 4 is triglycerides greater than 150, and these are all U.S. numbers. You'd have to convert them to millimolars per deciliter or whatever it is if you live in a metric country. And then low HDL, which in the U.S. would be considered under 40. Okay, so the ones I definitely had 100% medically diagnosed before I joined the VERTA program in January were the adipose fat, triglycerides well over 150. They were as high as 550 at one point in time. And I had a HDL as low as 30 at one point, and 40 or above. You need to be above 40 in the U.S. for this to not count as a condition. I never was officially diagnosed with high blood pressure, but Dr. Nelson, my main PCP at JPS, had told me if my blood pressure got any higher, he was going to talk about putting me on a blood pressure lowering medication. So, but that one didn't technically count because I had not been diagnosed as high blood pressure. And high blood sugar is what got me into VERTA, even though what they consider acceptable is not quite as high as it needs to be for metabolic syndrome. And I will also say that on the Mayo Clinic website, where I was getting some of these conditions written down, it says up to 1/3 of U.S. adults have metabolic syndrome. So that I've been able to be cured of it, or in remission. I don't know what the correct term is, but I think I would be undiagnosed as having metabolic syndrome at this point in time, and I'm going to go over the numbers with you and try to explain things a little better. Oh, that's a little heart. Conversation hearts are on my shirt tonight. I thought it was a stain, but it's just a small heart. Okay, like I said, up to a little less than 2 years ago, my triglycerides were in the 500s. That's what happens when you shove sugar down your face all day, every day. If you don't know what triglycerides are, they are excess fat that float around in your bloodstream because basically it's run out of places to store it anywhere else. At the stroke, when I had that in August of 2015, I want to say they were in the range of 170, 180, somewhere in there. And all the medical professionals told me to do is cut back on the sodas, but you have to burn those off. You really can't do anything to get rid of them, but just burn them off. You got to exercise more. Get on that treadmill, walk around the block, just burn them off and don't keep adding to them. Obviously, I've proven that that was inaccurate advice, as was most of the advice I have gotten in the previous 5 years from traditional doctors. I'm not bashing them, they're just not up to date, and some of my own experimentation and or learning from doctors that are up to date has proven many in the medical profession wrong, especially when it came to my diagnosis. But I just had a follow-up for the little incident I had in Branson on Tuesday morning, I think. So I asked them for a new lipid panel, and they also threw in a new HbA1c, so I have all those numbers to go over with you tonight. So I have the one from this week, and I have the results from the physical I had for the city, which was like one day before my Verta starter kit arrived. So that was in January. Let me see if I can find, I left them over on the bed. But anyway, so basically in 4 months I have gone from 3 confirmed conditions that gave me metabolic syndrome, and the other 2 were very borderline. So I could have if I hadn't made a change, by now I would have had all 5. 5 of the 5. It's not good. Not good at all. So now that I'm down to, I think, only 1, technically should be classified as not having metabolic syndrome. So my cholesterol value in 4 months, not on medication. I do not take statins. I did for a little while right after the stroke until I found out how bad they were for you. And of course, Dr. Nelson keeps trying to put me on statins. That's one reason I go to Dr. Mabry, is he knows that they really don't do any good, or he knows how they work. They work to reduce inflammation, which helps lower your LDL or something like that. But most people have realized that LDL is not actually causative of any bad things. So anyway, my cholesterol dropped 34 points just by eating more cholesterol, eating more saturated fat, which all the medical professionals told me, don't do it. Eat lean meats. Eat these heart-healthy oils that end up killing you, but they don't tell you that part. So in 4 months, really from January, I think it was 29th to March 26th, my total cholesterol dropped 34 points. It's still over what they like, but it's in the range I like. It's at 249, so it was up to like 280 something. The sheet from the other days over there, I just condensed it all. My triglycerides dropped 81 points in 4 months. Now, mind you, this has been my Achilles heel since August of 2015. I have walked and cut out sodas and tried to lower them, but until I cut out all carbs, that was the secret. 81 points is almost half of what it was 4 months ago. It is now at a total of 88, so 88 and 81 is 169 was what it was on my physical on January the 29th. with the city. And this is the only kind of bad thing, and I think it's probably a statistical irrelevance, is my HDL went down 1 point. I still haven't been able to get that up to quite 40. It's at 36 now. It was at 37 4 months ago. But apparently if you exercise, your HDL goes up, because now Dr. Mabry is saying that, once I get finished with the neurologist, I might want to do a high intensity training for 15 minutes 2 times a week to get my HDL up. So I'm not worried about that, but that is a little bit lower than it should be, but it has been going up for the 2 years I've been on keto/carnivore. So I'm not worried about this one little blip. And then my LDL, which all the doctors go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over, dropped 17 points without prescriptions, without anything else, no medication. And really for the last month, no exercise. So that's probably why my HDL is down a little bit, because after the incident in Branson on August 23rd was when I was at the ER, but a couple days before that, Dr. Mabry had told me to stop exercising if that's what caused it. So really now for a month and a half, I haven't even been doing my daily walking. So that is having a little bit of effect. I think my HDL will go up once I get back into the routine. But then they also did the Hemoglobin A1c, which is one thing Virta keeps track of. I was at 5.6 when I started Virta in January, but that reading was actually from August the 30th of 2019. I had been consistently going up from September of 2015. When I had the stroke, it was 5.4. In 2019, it was 5.6. And now in May of 2021, it has dropped 3 points from there to 5.3. That is almost unheard of, but that's because I got all the sugar out of my system. And that's what HbA1c is, a 3-month indicator of how much glucose you had in the blood on average over the last 3 months. Of course, when you're on carnivore, sometimes your red blood cells live longer, so the number goes up, but mine actually has gone down. So now the 2 factors that I still have to be concerned about, even though I don't have 3, which is good, so I don't have the metabolic syndrome anymore, are my HDL still needs to go up a couple of points, and my waist circumference still needs to go down about 2 inches, I would say. But the goal now is to have all that under control and to be down to my stroke weight by the 6-year anniversary, which is August the 5th of this year. So I have a little over a month to get down almost 10 pounds. According to my weekly summary today on Virta, I've lost 13.4 pounds in the last 4 months. So in order to do 10 in 5 or 6 weeks, I'm going to have to really clamp down, because I have been a little bit slack since the birthday trip. But I would love it if y'all could join me in not having metabolic syndrome, because it also is an indicator that you have insulin resistance, which insulin resistance is in my opinion, I'm not a doctor, don't take this as medical advice. You need to consult your own physician on anything I say. This is just my experience and my research. And my research tells me that people that are in the know that insulin resistance can be linked to almost every single disease of modern history. That goes from pre-diabetes all the way up to Alzheimer's. Every kind of cancer, every kind of heart disease, stroke, everything is related to insulin resistance. I just wish somebody would have told me right after I had the stroke, instead of waiting 5 years to find it out on my own. So that's one reason I'm on here for, is so that other people can find it out and not have to go through an experience like I went through when I probably should have died. But fortunately, I'm here to share with you, and I greatly appreciate everybody being here. If you've still stuck around this far, and I hope you have, because watch time is very critical to the YouTube algorithm, as is hitting that subscribe button and then the little bell so you can watch my next video shortly after I put it up. I hope that explains the metabolic syndrome, how you get diagnosed with it and how you get undiagnosed with it. And I have to tell you, I'm extremely excited, even though I had that little incident in Branson. It has nothing to do with my way of eating, I can assure you. And, you know, the doctors don't think it does, but of course, since they're kind of anti-carnivore, they want to pin it on that. But I will have a neurologist appointment here in about 2 or 3 weeks, I think. And the follow-up, they're going to get me in for an MRA, which is what Dr. Mabry originally sent me to the ER in Branson for, and they didn't do it. They did a CTA, which apparently doesn't quite show. You can't tell the difference between new damage and the stroke from 6 years ago almost. So yes, they saw that I had a stroke in that area, but they couldn't tell me if it was 2 days ago, 2 years ago, or 6 years ago. So I think the MRA will refine that, and then we can start looking for pinched nerves or whatever else could set it off. But at the moment, I'm still on no exercise. So I hope to get more of these videos out. Please let me know in the comments if you're enjoying them, if they have any value at all to you, and especially if there's a certain topic you would like me to research and cover for you. I may have already researched it. I have gobs and gobs of video topics I want to get out, but I want to make them better than, I want the quality to be good instead of just the quantity. So thank you again. I really appreciate you. If you're in the United States, happy Memorial Day. God bless all of those that have given their lives all around the world so that people can be free. Memorial Day is the day we honor our dead soldiers. Veterans Day is the day we honor our living soldiers. So it's kind of hard to say Happy Memorial Day to somebody that's already dead, but I have great respect for all of our military, all of our police, our firefighters, and our rescue personnel. And I like to honor all of them that have passed in whatever line of work it is on Memorial Day. I know a lot of people from other countries watch this channel, so if you're in any of those fields, thank you. If you've ever served your country in the military, thank you. God bless you, and happy Memorial Day. Bye-bye.